We are going live. So until my computer says yes, I know we're on Facebook, but we need to let my computer catch up. Yes, yes, yes. We're live. All right. Take it away, Mickey.
Welcome, everyone, to WRB, Getting Real About Leadership. Today, we are going to talk about the third principle, which is believe. And as you can see, I have three lovely ladies on Facebook with you guys, Desiree Patno, Angie Weeks, and Nancy Obando. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Angie, take it away.
Sure, I'll go first. Hello, everybody. Angie Weeks here with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, California Properties in sunny Southern California, Newport Beach. It's nice to see you all and be here with you today.
Hi, my name is Nancy Obando. I'm Senior Vice President at Mountain West Financial. I'm coming in from Rancho Palos Verdes. It's a beautiful and sunny day here too, so I'm super excited to be here.
Exciting. I'm Desiree Patno. I'm the chairwoman of the NDILC on the leadership side, and also I'm a delegate with you guys and founder of NDILC. And it's exciting. I'm in Irvine and it is beautiful today. And you notice how we're all in Southern California this time? You know, the West one, the West East, forget it. Sorry. I love the ability, right, to have the West, the East Coast, but you think about the weather on the East Coast, so we need to be very diligent and helpful. Well, anyway, take it away, Mickey.
Well, so maybe that's why we're the only ones on from the West Coast right now, because what we have out here is sunshine, right? The rest of the country isn't that lucky. So I think what we're going to talk about today is believe. And when you look up in the dictionary, the definition of believe, it's accept something as true, feel sure of the truth of it. And the other one, which I like even better, is hold something as an opinion, think or suppose, which means that we get to pick whatever we want to believe. And I happen to believe that a lot of our beliefs are based on habits that we have and things we experience in life. So I think what we were going to do today is kind of talk about a book that we have read, or a movie that we've seen that relates to that topic. So who would like to go first and talk about that?
Well, if you guys want, I can start off again.
Awesome.
Just in the circle of the round robin. But yeah, it was interesting. We kind of had the little conversation going on LinkedIn earlier today, Mickey, and it's a couple books that really helped me to just believe are, of course, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If anybody hasn't got that, even if you're too busy to read, just download it on Audible. It's an amazing book, and basically kind of the underlying principle is what the mind can conceive, the mind can achieve. And so it's like you have to just kind of, you have to be willing and open enough to conceive it first so that you can believe it and then bring it into practice. And I agree with what you said about the habits there, Mickey. That's something that we, our habits help a lot to form our beliefs on what we can and what we cannot do in a day. So that's, probably the biggest book that kind of comes to mind. And, another one that just really helped me with believing in myself was Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. So just as a female that is looking for, constant encouragement and empowerment and all of that, Brene always steps up and helps you just to be vulnerable and to believe in yourself. And so that's another good one. If you guys don't have that, get it on Audible, get it on Kindle or wherever. But those are a couple of books that just really inspired me to believe and ultimately try to keep achieving, right? Which I think that was last month's.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that is a big part of it, right? Like you have to believe things, and you have to believe in yourself. And that's sometimes really hard, right? And Are you guys familiar with Mel Robbins? You mentioned Brene Brown, and Mel Robbins is kind of in that same realm with the 5-second rule, and she has a new book out now too. And I just love how I was just listening actually last night to Mel Robbins on YouTube, where she basically said that you know, everything that we do is a habit, and in order to get better, you have to first, you know, break your habits. And then in the 5-second rule, she talks about how you can do that so you can believe in yourself and so you can move forward, which I thought was fantastic. Okay, Nancy, what about you?
One book that I'm actually reading right now, and then I do think that it's about believing in yourself and infinite potential, is Winning by Tim Grover. He talks about like the Mamba mentality from, you know, Kobe Bryant. He talks about winning and how it makes you different and how winning may scare people. And winning is the ultimate gamble on yourself. So I think those are, if anything, believing in yourself and in your infinite potential. Like, you're the only one that puts limitations on yourself. So it's more of a mindset thing to me, more so than anything. So I really liked the book Winning because it helps you overcome that. And it talks about, you know, I know winning might seem like something that's like ego driven, but at the same time, I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to? No one's going to do it for you.
Right. And I think that's one of those things, like, if other people heard us talking to ourselves, you know, I think, you know, yeah, we would probably be locked up, you know, because like we're so hard on ourselves. And I think that's totally true. And the other thing that I think is so interesting is a lot of times as women, I don't know about you guys, but certainly when I was growing up, it's like, you know, as a child, especially, be seen, not heard. And then as a woman, you know, don't be too loud, don't say too much, don't be in the forefront, right? Because that's not cool. And I think that's a great, that's a great point. It's like, you, in order for you to be able to build your life, you have to be a winner, and you have to have that mindset as well. You have to believe in yourself. So thank you. Desiree.
I don't think we know who you are, Mickey. I don't think you introduced your title and where you work.
Oh my gosh, I didn't. I am so sorry. Mickey Vandenberg. I work for now DOMA, Title of California, and I'm the Western Regional Escrow Ops Manager and Advisory. I've been in escrow for the last 30 plus years. I'm just going to cap it at 30. That way, because you know, and also live in Southern California. Let's see what else. I think that's it, right?
That's all good. I just
So-
want to make sure people knew who you were, because when I was putting your title,
Good
honestly,
point.
it was like, you're no longer Nate, you're Doma. Like, okay, so we caught that. I'm like, is that real? Okay, is that going? So, I mean, new name, new change, but I've known you for years, and just a phenomenal lady, and a lot underneath the hood, as we say. So, to the point that, you know, Nancy, you made, I'd like to piggyback on before I go to mine, is that, you know, the fear of winning, the fear of, you know, being called out, or, you know, ego driven. I suffered from that for many years, saying that, you know, why isn't, I can't help this, and Angie and you and I have talked about a lot. How come I'm at this level, but I've grown to this level and I still want to help here? Sometimes it's not relatable, and you have this fear of, okay, well, if I succeed, then people are going to think other of you. And sometimes you have to, and to your point, Nancy, about the ego side, it wasn't ego, it's just the fact that I could do it, you know, and it was self-confidence to myself that if I got into a situation that it was life or death, I could succeed. So we have to not look at the success within the element. We've got to look at the success that we're all fighting for our life, for our game, for our psyche, for ability to shift and navigate this world right now. There's no other way to say it about. And that's what I think the believe is of all the 12 principles lining together, and the belief is the number one, because mind over matter. You can will yourself to live, will your body to get well is the most important thing you can do. So mine is a woman that I met 4 or 5 years ago. Her name is Mitzi Perdue. She comes from the Henderson family for the Sheraton hotels. And then she also comes from the Perdue family, obviously the chicken. So you took it two families that are exceptionally wealthy, that are called the family office, ultra high net worth individuals. And you would think that she would have everything in life. And she has a book called How to Be Up in Down Times. And you think about it and you think, could you have ever imagined a person of her stature would say, what happens if I lose all my money? You know, we think that cover, that book is always beautiful, travels, great, whatever that is, that you don't know what's undergoing underneath that hood. And there's a little kitty running around in the background. And so I can see this little black guy.
Cat butt.
But to that point, you know, which is a perfect analogy for Kobe Bryant, what you said, Nancy, is how we're tying into, okay, we're moving up the chain because we're supposed to get to the top and disappear. But do we lose our friends? Do we start all over? Are we okay with our new status? Or do we keep ourselves down because the people around us are keeping us down? Or do we continue to grow because it's not that we're deserving, but we're doing the things that we care about and our love just takes us to propel to it, right? And so she's written so many books. Her husband died in 2005, and How to Be Up and Down Times and I'll read a little piece about it because I think it's so powerful. I've been in many jobs during my lifetime that have been discriminated by men. You can imagine that a lot of bullying came my way. So how do I handle it? Here, this woman has everything one could ask for. She says, here's where it gets a little offbeat. If you can criticize me in some way and it's going to make me better, I embrace it. I love it. I act on it. If you're bullying me, or if you're being critical because you think you can get away with it, you don't exist for me. You just don't exist. I'm not going to let you under my skin. So that idea of believing and growing is the analogy of you allowing outside forces to either put your mindset that it's not okay, or it's your mindset it is okay. I mean, because the political divide, the PC culture we live in, the ability to scale in anything we're doing, should I, what I go, that is the whole thing that we're dealing with. And you look at affordable housing, you look at how we're dealing with all these different things, it's so powerful. So that book and one other book by her, I know this is really weird, but it's called The Frank Perdue Way. That's her husband who passed away. She has spent her entire life after that talking about how great it is to keep the family together. And the idea is that why would you care to keep your family together? Because your family is the strength of the core of moving forward, that you can believe that you can achieve and leave a legacy behind. So if you look at our 12 principles, you'll see the why they start and finish with where they're going is that very example, is that it's a journey. And to get from A to Z, we have to understand the journey. So the Frank Perdue Way, it's actually a book that she created. That's a little hand carry book that's pretty cute, that talks about listen, honor, lead, network, learn, save, leave a legacy, my gift to you, Frank said. And think about that. Is that not the principles of the hierarchy, what we're going, but in a different way of a personalized approach? So those are my two books that I like.
Very cool. Well, actually, there's a ton of books that I like. And I think, you know, I'm sure just like you guys, listen, if you want to make it in life and you want to experience improvement on your journey, it means that you have to go within, right? Because it doesn't come from without. I think it comes from within. Another one that I really like too, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, is Miracle Mornings by Hal Elrod. It's and yeah, it's really cool, and it talks about basically in his book there's like 6 things that he does first thing in the morning, really before you start. And it includes things like meditation, working out, etc. You can do it, you know, in 6 minutes, half an hour, however much time you want to spend on. But what I like about that book is that what happens typically to us is we wake up in the morning, we think about all the stuff that we need to do, and we go on autopilot, right? We go on autopilot, that's all we do. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I was so busy. And then what did I really accomplish? And what I like about the book, Miracle Morning, is you get to set your intentions. You get to spend some time journaling. You get to spend some time with yourself and working on yourself. And then you get to set your day, and you get to set your intentions for the day, which I think is incredibly important too. You know, if you want to win at life and if you want to move forward. So
Well,
curious,
look,
do
Nikki,
you guys?
I even
Mhm.
see, I was just looking on Audible, and you have the Miracle Morning. They have it for network marketers and for real estate agents. They have a special version for me.
Awesome.
Right?
That's
I'll get that
fantastic.
one.
That's very
That's
cool.
very
2 million copies. He's already sold over 2 million copies. I just read it up.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool book. And so, but that kind of is gonna like make me ask you guys a question. Do you guys have any morning habits that help you push yourself forward to improve your life? We should start with Desiree.
Wait, hold on.
Well, is that pre-pandemic or post or mid? I mean, I'm being real. Pre-pandemic, you know, I was very put together in making sure that I had my day planned out, what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. You know, making sure that I got an X amount of sit-ups, or, you know, my health, my vitamins and everything else. And just, you know, I had my strategy. I could pack and play in 15, you know, oh, you got to go on to Florida. Literally from the time I said I'm going to Florida, 15 minutes of pack for an entire week, I could be on an airplane and gone. I can't do that now. So that tradition of morning practice for me was having my mind clear, purposely set, focused to where I could put it together, making sure my vitamins, my, you know, everything I need to do to clear my head the night before to flush it. Now, because we have lost our routine on making sure, like, you know, do we go into work? Do we have an 8 to 5 job anymore? Are we hybrid together? Are we doing that stuff? No. And because of that, I have lost my way into what is my pre-morning ritual to get it done. And because of that, I've leaned and embraced my body structure from the gift of my mother and the family traits. And it's been abusive to me because I'm not as healthy or conditioned to travel as I used to be. So I had a really rude awakening after going to Hollywood, to Beverly Hills for Super Bowl 2 nights in a row. I was like exhausted. Like, did you work out and run 5 miles? Did you do this? No. But just the conditioning of driving, just the conditioning of being on your feet and stress and standing in hills, I realized if I don't start taking that 45-minute every morning and start doing sit-ups and doing squats and flushing the mind to work on me, then I won't be here anytime soon. So to that being said, I'm being honest, you heard it on live radio, live broadcast right now, that I've got to start taking that 45-minute every morning and being intentional to me and not look at anything else. And no matter how urgent it is, unless someone's dying, you clock.
I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna text you in the morning going, did you do your sit-ups? Angie, what about you?
Mornings are definitely the time that make or break my day. And it, you know, like Desiree said, pre-pandemic or post-pandemic. But I will say, like, something that has just been super important to my mornings for years and years now is yoga, my yoga practice. So I was doing it today at home. It's not nearly as fun at home, but you know, I found some YouTube channels, Yoga with Adrienne. Thank you. Love you. But yeah, like, you know, and like yoga with LB, and yeah, there's just some really good channels out there that help me start my day right. And what I have found is things that, you know, when I can accomplish a pose on the mat, then that helps me to believe in myself that I can accomplish something off the mat that might be also kind of seeming unfathomable to me at that particular point in time. So, you know, yoga has been a morning routine for me. I won't say daily, but it's, you know, I have a definite progression. Like if I do yoga once a week, I just kind of like, you know, roll through and exist. If I do it twice a week, I'm doing decent. If I do it, you know, 3 times a week or more, like I'm acting from, you know, my greatest power, my highest good, and, you know, all that excellent vibes that are needed to close deals out there right now. Yeah.
It's true.
Right?
It's clear mind.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nancy, what about you? What's your morning ritual?
So I'm going to start off with, I don't limit rituals to the morning. At any point in time that I feel that I need to reset my mind, body, or soul, I do it now. It wasn't something that I always practiced, but now if I need a reset in the middle of the day or in the afternoon and I need to shut it off and do that reset, I will do it. Because at the end of the day, like they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm not going to give you 100% of me if I'm not feeling 100. That's just what it is. So I don't limit it to the morning, but every morning I 100% am all about drinking my coffee in my garden in peace.
Love it.
That's
Nice,
how I start my
nice.
day. I have a great cup of coffee in the morning, and I'm, you know, it's right now in spring, the garden looks lovely. I'll tell you, my ranunculus are up, my tulips are out, and daffodils are almost about to sprout. I'm an avid gardener, so I could go on all day with all the plants that I have, but that's what I do. And I know that sometimes like the phone is ringing, or, you know, I have 2 small children, so they, you know, they're getting ready for school. I don't let any of that hustle and bustle get to me before I just calmly drink my cup of coffee in the morning, and then I start. Then I'll go to 100.
I love that. Hey, and by the way, what do you do during the day to reset? Asking for a friend.
So it depends, right? Honestly, for me, connecting with nature is something that resets me. That's why honestly I have my garden, because it, like, just walking around, looking, just taking a look at that just resets me. Photography is something that also resets me. It's my favorite hobby. I love photographing sunsets. So if I had a tough day, I am going to go out and take a look at a sunset. Luckily, I live in the West Coast. I live by the beach, so I do have access to that. You know, for me to just go outside and take a look at a sunset and photograph it. Middle of the day, I work out in the middle of the day. That's kind of like my lunch. Is my workout. I have a personal trainer because I don't like to work out. It's not something that I naturally love to do. So you know what I did? I hate spending money in vain. That's my thing, right? So I tricked myself. If I cancel my workout with my trainer, I still have to pay him. And I refuse to pay him for no reason. So that's how I tricked myself. I found out what my trigger is. I don't like to waste money. So regardless, if I don't cancel in time, I have to pay him. So I'm like, no, I have to go, because I'm not going to just waste my money for no reason. But he's really, I found someone who not only focuses on my body, but he also focuses on my mind. And so it's a good partnership in that regards. And he even knows, like, if I come in and I'm already had a stressful morning, because, you know, we do, it's like, that's our job, it's our line of business. He knows how to reset me, and he knows how to pretty much let me kind of like just go all out and let my stress goes out. So those are kind of my three things. It's like morning is coffee, middle of the day, it's like get it out like during a good workout. And then afternoon, like maybe going on a walk and see a sunset or do some photography.
Love that. Absolutely love that. I think that's fantastic doing it that way. I have a personal trainer as well, and we do it on Zoom, which I think is like really nice, right? Because the whole COVID, and even though I miss the in-person of it, I still think it's nice, and it's still a great way to kind of reset for yourself and do something for yourself. And by the way, I do the same thing. I hate like canceling, because then I end up having to pay. So if it is I don't feel like it, then, you know, that's not a legit excuse. So, you know, we're going to pay for it. So we're all mentioning during, post pandemic, COVID-19. Maybe that's a good thing to touch on as well, because I do think that a lot of people are struggling right now because of that. I think most people are experiencing burnout, whether they think so or not. So how has that impacted the way that you believe about yourself? So Nancy, let's start with you.
I don't, because like I told you, I take the time to make sure that I dedicate time to myself. I've become super conscious of not burning out, and paying attention to the signs of my body, because your body tells you if you're burning out, if you're not being conscious of it. Because sometimes we get really busy and we're just like, nah, maybe I'm just a little bit tired or nothing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're sick, right? Or you have these headaches or whatever. So I try to make sure that I pay attention to the cues and signs that my body is telling me in order to avoid burnout. Believing in myself is actually something that I believe in myself. I just do. You know, and it's not because I think that I'm perfect, because I'm so far from, you know, it's just because I know that I could fail forward. I know that I could survive. That's the only reason why. Like, I know that I am in life. There's no way that I'm not going to have setbacks. It's not that. It's just that I know that I have a great group of friends that if I am in trouble or whatever, I have a good core of people that I know will help me overcome whatever I'm dealing with. And I believe in like this saying, this quote that I read, and it was, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not on the branch, but on her own wings. So always believe in yourself. And so that's the thing for me. It's like, okay, I might lose my job. Who knows? I might lose my home. There's so many things that could happen to me. I could get in an accident like in an hour from now from leaving my house, right? But, you know, I do feel confident that either myself or the good core people around me that I'm fortunate to have will help me overcome whatever I'm going through. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. I love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure that there's lots of people out there that are going to gain strength from that. So thank you. Angie, what about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nancy brought up some really good points, and it is like it's I think a lot of what the pandemic taught us, and it's something I brought up in previous calls, is just about our ability to pivot gracefully and to, you know, just take on a new direction when we need it. And we were all used to kind of being asleep in our routines and things like that. And it really brought out for me, just like I was so burnt out, and I didn't even realize it. Like I just kept on going, which I'm sure all of you guys can relate to that. And it was like, okay, so once, you know, we had quarantine, I was like, okay, I have permission to relax. And then, but I didn't relax, because which one of us did? You know, you got a whole new thing. You got to figure out life now. You got to make sure you're still gonna, you know, pay the mortgage and keep the
Oh,
fridge
come
full,
on, who needs care about
you
that?
know, all that kind of stuff. So it was like, okay, but what it did give me was permission to slow down and rethink and strategize about what I was going to do differently now that I had the time, that I had the permission, that I didn't have to show up to every single meeting, you know, for a month or two or whatever. And so that just gave, you know, me the ability to kind of, you know, and it doesn't always start with that confidence in yourself at first. That, you know, kind of maybe starts in a backs up against the wall, or like a oh shit scenario, like, let's be honest. But then, you know, as the strong empowered females that we are, we decide that we're going to take our power back, and we're not going to let anything take control of us, and we're going to, you know, figure things out from here. So I think that that was really like, you know, when the pandemic started, that was one of my themes, was I'm going to take my power back. I was giving it away to, you know, some certain people and certain activities and things like that. So I just really focused on that. And then I started taking my time back, and Desiree saw that, and you guys all saw that. And, you know, I do a lot more traveling, and I'm not afraid to tell people that I close deals from the road now. I'm not going to hide it that I'm out of town, or let people find out on a need to know basis. Like, I travel and I close. And if I'm not your listing agent, then that's okay. You know, it's just, it is what it is. And you just kind of come into what you're supposed to, you know, we're all evolving like a little butterfly, right? And so, yeah, I just think that
Well,
was permission to put your wings out a little bit more that we didn't have before, right?
and don't you find that a lot of times when you know, put your stake in the ground and say, this is what I'm going to do, everybody else around you is like, oh, okay. And you're like, really? Was I this worried about their reaction? Because nobody seems to care like we think they will, right? In most circumstances, not all.
You're right, Mickey. And they just accept it when you're able to define who you are and what you do confidently, and, you know, have mastery at what your skills are. Then they turn around and they accept it and they embrace it. And so just like we have to.
Yeah, and I do think, yeah, exactly. I do think you bring up a good point, because it's like, if you're not serious about it, people will know and will push back. But if you're serious, and to Nancy's point, you've created your boundaries and you tell people to hear and no further, all of a sudden, in, you know, most circumstances, they'll just go ahead and accept that.
Well, you got to look at the fact is that if you're only one person and you're doing the sale of a home, then you're not of substance usually, because you need a team. So even if you were in town versus out of town, are you the one that's going to be doing everything and doing the physical aspects of it? No. So whether you're physically here or not, you want to be the negotiator. You want to make sure that everything's being handled. And if you're not the general contractor and someone else is, their job is to go inspect, not you. And with technology now, I made my life of book of business in real estate, and having 6 monitors and having 7 crew people to literally go and inspect every home. And their job was to take 200 photographs of every single house, no matter how big or how small it is, so that when you got on the call as an asset manager, I could act better than had I ever seen that property in person, because I had raw data every single week loaded up on my screen instantaneous. And this is before we had the digitalization of of streaming and everything else. And I could sit there and tell you more about your house than you've ever seen. And I didn't see 95% of my homes I ever sold in my life that I sold for the banks, because I had trained crews who understood, to your point, Angie. So the point is, they're hiring you for the negotiation skills, to having your team in place, to be that. If they need a hand holder, then they don't need you, because the point is, a hand holder is an enabler to what they don't know, because they're hiring you for your expertise of how many years you have under the hood.
Oh, you're right, Desiree.
Yep.
And I love that you systemized that at that point in time in that way. Like it was like, Google Drive before they had Google Drive.
Well, look at offers.
You know.
I had 138 offers on a Fannie Mae property. How do you present 138 offers? I had to hire someone that took 4 days. I had an entire offer system that you had to enter your offer in, because you couldn't let anyone else enter the offer into their Fannie Mae system, right? So for 4 days, she had to enter those 138 offers. So how did I make sure your offer was put in the exact order it came in? You set up an offer email queue that was set up 18 years ago. I was the very first one to do it. A date time stamped every single email coming in. And if I didn't get it, it didn't go in. If a couple people try to call me on it saying, hey, this is illegal, you're not doing whatever, I said, look at my track of my emails. Tell me where you see it. If I didn't get it because of my technicality or something that didn't happen, you can't blame me, because I physically didn't get in my train. Saved my tail. But anyway, sorry. For me, it is a very crazy awakening. Here we are all in real estate. Guess who sold 85% of her portfolio before the pandemic? I sold it over a 2-year period. So did I leave millions on the table? Yep. Do I cry about it occasionally? Yep. Do I feel bad about it? Yes and no. I've now invested into 12 companies this past year that I 95% probably never would have. I now am doing things as a developer and things that I would never have even dreamed of, in the sense that, why me? I'm not this and this and this. And to Nancy's point, that confidence level. And now I'm taking on the biggest thing is, how do we develop and sell and produce product for affordable housing, helping the childcare, helping, the military, helping transitional housing, the experience, the life, and hybrid into technology. So for me, the win was confidence and believe in myself. Now I have to prove myself in the monetary side of not just the lawn game, but the cash flow, what that looks like. But now I see people's pain in a different way, because I can say, this is what happened to me, but it gave me the freedom to do it. And it's very scary. But now I'm playing with the people who have, we're talking 10, 11 digits in their portfolio versus the 6, 7 digit portfolio. And to me, for the last 7 years, how do I integrate that in a very high level scale? And now I can call in my resources and say, you do this, this, and this, and you ever thought of this and this, and like, oh my gosh. So that confidence, to Nancy's point and what you're talking about, Mickey, and being jealous of Angie, going, how come I can't pick up and not leave in my house? Well, she doesn't have kids. She's got only one dog, and she doesn't collect, and she's a hoarder of hoarders of things like I am. So that's my lifestyle, but I love it. And Nancy, you and I are taking it on one day in our garden. I'm down, girl.
Oh, I'm coming for that.
Gardens. We are going to do a Zoom call, and we're going to make it live, because I challenge you to a garden test. That's all I can say. And I
want to see this garden for sure.
Right, Angie?
Yeah.
And so I'm down, girl. We're gonna do a live. We're gonna do like West Side Story. You're on one end, I'm on the other, and we're gonna duke it out on the garden side. But you can beat me in the names of the plants, but I can beat you in the variety and how much I have. That I can guarantee you.
Yeah, it'll probably be.
Maybe we need to meet in Nancy's garden. Maybe we just need to all go there and do a Facebook Live.
There you go.
That would be fun.
That'd be fun. So I
don't know. I have a pretty.
That would be so much fun. What a great idea, Mickey. We could go to Nancy's place and we could go to my place. This has 10. This is 10 orchid stalks on one plant. You only see 5 here.
Wow.
These are 2 foot long. And this is This is the back end of it, of the same plant.
That's nice.
So,
I have some orchids too.
but that's one pot with 10 stalks.
That's pretty good. 10 stocks, that's pretty good. Mine probably, I think at most I've had 5, but not 10.
Well,
What
and
are you
they're
feeding
crowded.
it?
I have to
What are you
break them
feeding
apart. Yeah.
What are you feeding them?
Oh, what am I feeding them? To be honest, they get Miracle-Gro every couple weeks. They also get special dirt. I'm very good about what kind of compost into it. They have bark on top of it because of the east side
orchid.
keeps a lot of, yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. But the point is that my yard, I have leaves that are like this big on some of my
Love
different
it.
plants I have. You know, I have queen palms that are 50 feet tall. I planted every plant in my yard. Now I live on a very small lot, and people go, most entire Roger Gardens and Home Depots don't have as many plants as you have in my
Yeah.
yard.
Yeah, I don't have a big yard either. It's just I've like every nook and cranny I've used. Right now I was super excited because my husband bought me a weeping cherry tree.
Oh,
And it was just all like full of blooms, and it's like weeping. I mean, it's just beautiful. I was so happy when he bought that. I was like, because I'm obsessed with cherry blossom trees. So when he bought that and it's a weeping one, I was like, wow.
I'm Pomeria. My gig are Pomerias. I have 18 different kinds of Pomerias. So I have trees of Pomerias that have buds and stalks that are this thick, and they stack on top of each other. I can make, 50 lays in one day with as many Pomerias as I have. And then my whole back wall, we took all the 85% of my wall is glass. And so my whole backyard is nothing but plants. And so you open up the wall, and all of a sudden you feel like you're in a garden of paradise because it's an extension of my living room. So sorry for cannibalizing, Mickey.
I was gonna say this just turned
No
into
worries.
a garden show.
While we're on the garden show,
Right.
don't you guys like look at your plants, and they like help me to kind of believe, like I love succulents, and they are in the garden, and some of them just like, you think for sure they're going to die. Like it's like totally dead. And you're like, but I just can't throw it away because maybe, just maybe. And then that plant like comes back to life. And then it like creates 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 other ones. Like our gardener cut this huge cactus that we had, because it was like kind of like taking our roof like in a bad direction. And so we like put it back, and we were like, oh my gosh, he killed the cactus. I mean, obviously as the gardener, he knows what he's doing, and we might not, but so we grabbed all these little cactus things that he cut off and put in the yard and put them in these pots and plants. And now I have cactuses all around the yard, and the cactus that he cut back is doing beautiful, and it's more full. And it's just, a garden is a good metaphor for, the way that we can grow. And it's slow. You don't always notice it, but then, months later or years later, you kind of go, wow, look what I just did.
Yeah, there's a quote on that. It says, to plant seeds is to believe in the future.
There you go. Okay, so
Putting it all together.
I want to answer your question though, Mickey, about during the pandemic. We've all lost very, tremendous amount of people that we love, through friends, ourselves, and continue to struggle with it. And I learned something from my parents when they passed. When my father passed first before my mother would never allow anyone to wear black. You had to wear white. You had to celebrate his life. You had to be there. And so she says, don't anyone bring any cut flowers. You are to bring a live plant, and you're to plant that plant in reminiscence of who you knew and what you knew. So when my father passed, instead of having all cut flowers, I went out and bought every white rose that Home Depot had within, 50 miles. I brought 250 white roses, and they were all in their pots. And I just put a white cellophane, wrap around them, and with a white bow, and I decorated the church. It was drop dead gorgeous. You thought you were walking this really elaborate wedding, and had my dad dressed in white. Everyone had to wear white. And as I left, I said, every one of you take a plant. I said, remember my father when you see this plant. So to me, I tell everyone as they have a loved one that has passed, plant something in your yard that's a living plant. And when you're down, like, I speak to my father every day. I speak to my mother, both have passed many years ago, but that plant is a living life of my parents, that I can have that moment to have that one-on-one. And that is the belief that I have and how I can succeed when the shit just hits the floor. I pick myself up and I go have that moment with them. And so I just want to say that plant of believing in yourself, I love what you brought with that, Angie, is so powerful, because I believe in that. You can see that shine, you can see that beauty, and guess what? They don't talk back. They are there to have that moment of silence, as Nancy, you say. That's right. And you get your clarity. And plus, they're bringing oxygen to our world. They are recycling the breath that we breathe, and it's the health that you go with it. So that's the belief that I believe in the plants. And how we got on the subject, this is crazy.
Love it.
I'm passionate
Love
about
it.
plants.
So
Yeah, thanks. Hold on, I'm gonna take it out.
Pretty awesome. Okay, so we're
Wrap it up.
at about, I was gonna say, let's wrap it up. So I think the last question that I'm gonna ask of everyone is, when you're in a down moment, what do you do to reinstate the belief in yourself? And then let's start with Angie.
I would say that's a tough one, like when I'm down, a lot of times I'll go to church because I know that, I'm a woman of faith, and I feel like, even if I don't believe in myself, like, God believes in me and my path and all of that. I'm definitely a big believer in that. But also I would say too, like I kind of try to do something that I think I'm going to fail at anyway, because I already have that like negative mindset. So it's like, sometimes it's like, if you already like are creating that negative conversation about something, then just go get it over with then. And sometimes like we were saying earlier in the call, like it doesn't always happen the way that we think it's going to happen at all. And, it doesn't always seem like such a big deal. So sometimes it's like, eating the frog on the call that I have to make to give the bad news or whatever, but it's just, doing it and then allowing myself to kind of sit with it and, be okay with it and thinking about it, and then just letting it pass, kind of like with the tide or your breath in yoga, like in and out, and, just making sure that it goes out.
Right? Yeah. Okay, Desiree.
I have to walk away. I have to literally do something completely different, remove myself from the element, get dressed up and go somewhere, do something that, some people turn to alcohol, food, whatever. I have to go and get fresh air and walk outside. It could be the garden. It could be playing with the dogs. I have 3 dogs that are my love of my life. Maybe more than my plants, maybe not. But yeah, we'll call them evenly. But I have to decorating, remodeling my home, doing something that I can completely get lost. But the problem is sometimes I get so excited in decorating my home because, I'm remodeling and doing a lot of, going through 7 storage containers. So taking my mind completely 1000% off of it and say, the only person that has to sleep with you is you. So get over yourself, move on. And then once I have that clarity, then I say, you know what? Are they going to be there when the going gets tough? Really? Then don't worry about it and just move on. But it's tough sometimes to where, and that's where I go back to Tammy Bunnell's. You have to have your tribe, to what Nancy says. If you don't have your group, and I don't have a ton of girlfriends, what I have are people that I can say what's on my mind, and they'll recorrect me or I'll put it into that pocket. And that's okay, because the ability to share that recentering is what needs to be done.
Yep. Agreed, 100%. Nancy, what about you?
For me, I allow myself to feel whatever I need to feel. So whether it be sad or anger or, I'm just in a bad mood for whatever reason. I just warned my husband that I'm in a bad mood. But
We all do that. I mean, take it.
I warned him. I said, I'm into not today. But but yeah, I allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling because that's the only way that I'm gonna get over it. Me hiding what I'm feeling and just putting a cover over it is not gonna allow me to heal. Truly. I
Agreed.
could distract myself all day and it'll make me feel better for that moment. But what if I get triggered again? Like what if when that comes back? I don't want to get triggered. I don't want it to come back. So I really allow myself to feel what I feel. I question myself. I say, why am I feeling this way? Just why? Is it really this? Is it really triggering something else? Like, why am I feeling this way? And I just allow myself to go through it. I do make sure that I have my alone time to allow myself to do that. If I need to cry, I'll do it. If I just need to maybe just vent, then I have my tribe where I could call and just talk shit. Sorry, but sometimes you just need to do that.
Yes, you do.
Yep.
And I just allow myself to feel
Yeah.
it really. And then that's what allows me to then reset, like, whew, okay, I got that out. Right? I really needed to get that out and then just restart.
So okay, if
I
I
do
could,
that too.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Desiree.
sorry. So you weren't here, Mickey, for Nancy. She was at Empower in San Diego, and she had Rita Morera. We all know who Rita Morera is, and she was Moreno. Sorry, was on stage, and so Rita goes up there and being Rita, and so Marcia goes, "We've never had anyone say things on the stage that you have said." But coming out of your mouth, it sounded great. So since Nancy was on stage and was yelling across the stage and projecting with Mika Brunitsky from Morning Joe, and so having Rita and they're actually saying some very nice choice words, we'll call it. And the fact you're like, oh, sorry, I just thought it was pretty interesting. I had to tell you. But anyway, sorry.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
that's
being
funny.
real, right? I mean, who does not sometimes just need to say something, right? Like,
That's right.
Gotta get it out.
Being real is good, I think. And Nancy, I'm with you. I do allow myself to feel that stuff, but I do put a time limit on it. So
Yeah.
I don't want to get stuck in it because I think there is a danger of that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I try to look for the silver lining or the lesson learned, depending on what it is, right?
Mhm.
So if it's, something at work, or if it's a breakup, or if it's, 6 family members, there's always either a silver lining or a lesson learned. I'm going through that right now. My dad is in his final stages of life, and I'm learning that I don't have a lot of patience for, some of the things that come with that, right? It's hard. And so that's, if you look at something that brings you down and you look at, but where is the lesson or where is the positive? For me, that's super helpful. And yeah, I definitely do experience it because I don't think ignoring emotions or feelings is helpful in the big scheme. So cool. Well,
Sorry.
wow, ladies. Go ahead.
I said, sorry to hear, prayers to everything, but what's your time limit? I'm curious. You said you have a time limit. I'm curious of what your time limit is.
It depends on how big it is, right? So if it's like a work thing, it's typically 5 minutes, and then it's like, suck it up, cupcake, move on. But seriously, because,
if it's a
that's
really
the
big
thing,
deal,
it's
you
like,
can have 10, Mickey.
right? No,
Yeah.
but seriously, like most of the time with the work, it's like, I had a situation this week where someone took something very personal. It's work. It really isn't. It's life. It's like, this is how people are. And it's like, if you get affected every time someone else does something, you know, it's like your life gets hard. You know, Desiree knows, you know, there was a situation last year where, you know, I was in a relationship and he cheated on me. He had an affair on me. And one of the first things that I said is, I forgive you, not for your sake, but for mine. Like, you know, when other people do stuff to you, don't get hung up on that. You know, suck it up, cupcake, give yourself a few minutes. Obviously, it took a little bit longer on that one, you know, when you're done, that's going to take a minute. But still, you know, it's like, don't get stuck in stuff. Life's too short.
We
right?
miss you. Oh, it was so good.
Are you still with him, Mickey?
No.
Okay, good, because I was about to start talking smack. And I'm sorry.
Oh no, hell no. But I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, it allowed me to move on. And let me tell you, the guy that I met is absolutely amazing. And so when you look
Love that.
back, right, like sometimes you're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And then actually I was telling Desiree the other day, you know, here we are a week or a year later, and I'm like, wow, who knew, right? And when you're in it, it kind of sucks, but then, you know, my life is fantastic now. So yeah,
you
no
could thank
regrets.
him. You could thank him right now for allowing you to meet this great guy that you have in your life. If it wasn't because he was such a F up, you wouldn't have met this wonderful guy right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Findings all over.
Okay, so the time limit, the reason Mickey only lasts 5 minutes, that conversation she's talking about that her and I talked about happened 5 minutes before we went live. And she said it was yesterday. So I'm just letting you know to keep her time. Time just flies so fast. Oh,
Go
this
with brain.
has been so much
Go with
fun.
brain.
This has been like incredible.
Yes.
Get it over, cupcake.
This was
Oh,
awesome, you
Awesome
guys.
cupcake.
Thank you so much. This was a ton of fun. Thank you all.
Yeah.
I am sure that the folks that listened to us got lots and lots of good stuff. I know I did. Thank you all for partaking in this.
Absolutely. This was a blast. I mean, I have to clean up my makeup. So thank you, Mickey. So we're going to have our next one. We did this special. You know, the 1:30 kind of worked for us. So I don't know, maybe we should change this more often. But our next one is going to be for the entire month. Remember, it's Believe. So if you have a story that you'd like to post, please post a story. And thank you, Angie and Mickey, for posting on LinkedIn. So we are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn the best because it really connects the business end of it. So our next one is going to be, so the more Believe stories we have are going to be phenomenal, because I got to tell you, 2022 is going to be the year of the life of change. And if we can believe and post and share, it's great. So next month is going to be, our next one is going to be on, the NDILC will have it on Thursday, on the 3rd of March. And that's going to be hosted by Tammy Bunnell. And then we're going to have it on March 10th for the NDILC. And that's going to be, if I could get my calendar, it'd be nice if I have my thing here together. I apologize. The next one is going to be, oh, Pass the Torch. Totally remember. So if you think about it, we had Acknowledged Trailblazers, right? And then we had to go through the second one was Keep Achieving, Believe, Pass the Torch. So these are all going in sequence. So next month is going to be Pass the Torch. So everyone get your books ready, your films ready, so we can all have that because it get done. So everyone be safe, stay healthy, have a great rest of your day. And if there's anything we do, please reach out here at NDILC. We'd be happy to help you and see what we can do to grow and scale and everything get done. So thank you everyone for coming. And thank you, Mickey, for hosting. All right, take care. Bye-bye.